welcome to the Burning Disco. This is your host, Caleb Clark, bringing you the worst in hip-hop, whether albums generally considered bad or albums I just personally don't like. Now today we're going to be talking about a slightly more recent rapper than the last one, Waka Flocka Flame and his debut studio album, Flockaveli, named after Tupac, as it were. Now, Waka Flocka is a trap rapper, notable for being sort of the successor from Little John in the terms of being a very loud, abrasive, hedonistic rapper who also gets a lot of mimetic mutation. He's known for ushering in sort of the Lex Luger sound and for being affiliated with Gucci Mane and the 1017 Brick Squad. So, listening to this album, let's start the discussion with Waka Flocka Flame. First of all, his voice and flow. He usually stays, he pretty much has just one voice and flow. Well, one voice, two flows, pardon me. The one voice is very hoarse shout. It's limited, but I think it actually works when it's coupled with one of the flows he has. He's got an actual flow, and then he's got sort of the Soulja Boy style ramble. When he does the flow, the actual flow, that is pretty basic. He occasionally even goes off rhythm, and just, it's nothing to really cry home to mom about, but it works. It actually does get you a little bit amped up, but his ramble flow just is not very good, let's just say. It just deadens the mood, doesn't attest to his skill at all. Now, as for his lyrics, if you came into the album with a cover of a man covered in tattoos with some blood and his fingers made into two guns pointed at his head, looking for insightful lyrics, well, kiddo, you're optimistic. Yeah, it's a ton of songs about, selling drugs, killing people, taking people's girlfriends, and having money. He tends to focus a bit more on the side where he's wilding out and killing people, and specifically taking the drugs as well as stealing them. So, I guess that's something, but not a whole ton. Now, as I'm going to look through the track list and see what all songs aren't about these things. No Hands is about being in the club, and I guess taking other people's girlfriends. Let's see. Karma. It's supposed to be a song about the consequences of the gangsta lifestyle and how people are out to kill him. Waka Flocka Flame isn't very introspective, but he at least attempts to do it. The features, which I'll get to later, fail completely. For My Dogs is about his loyalty to his gang. The first verse is okay. Again, not a lot of introspection, and then the other two verses, just forget about that. This Industry is probably the most consistent. It's about avoiding being manipulated by the music industry and getting ripped off by labels, which is a good message, and probably one of the, even though it's got his whack flow, probably one of the better songs on the album. Also, he's very prone to repeating stuff. Like, he likes to shout his own name. He likes to shout, Brick Squad. He likes to repeat words to try to fool us into thinking they rhyme with each other. And also, he randomly goes into very corny punchlines, like stuff about Pinky and the Brain and making people eat shells like it's Mario Kart. That's a paraphrase. I think he actually calls it Mario Go-Kart. That specifically sort of undercuts his whole gangsta persona. Now, the features on this album. Out of 17 songs, 4 of them don't have features. Now, he doesn't go into the sin of colleague French Montana, who appears on the album, because he's got his own personality, and Waka Flocka usually does the hooks. And also the 4 songs are 2 of the more lyrical songs and 2 of the big hit singles. But the features on here are terrible. Like, French Montana shows up, sounds as bored as ever. There's a lot of features from, I'm guessing they're Waka's little homies. Like, he just got all the people who could rap in his squad to come into the studio. The main two are YG Hootie and Slim Duncan. They're pretty generic in their lyrics and flows. They get a little bit more interesting when they go into the faster chopper style, but not a whole lot. I think Slim Duncan is slightly better just because of his voice. Let's see. Roscoe Dash has a very terrible auto-tuned chorus, and the song No Hands, while Wale just sounds very annoying. Pastor Troy does his thing, and that's about it in terms of the features. There are some other ones that I'm not sure if they're like actually in the Brick Squad or anything, but there's a lot of people who come and go without a lot of personality. Waka actually manages to be pretty memorable, especially in comparison to all these guys. And speaking of the Brick Squad, I'm fairly certain this album was recorded and released before Waka's feud with Gucci Mane, but Gucci Mane, OJ the Juice Man, Raylo, or Rallo, none of them show up, which I find sort of odd. But apparently the homies and For My Dogs were only applicable to people that he wasn't actually affiliated with. Now, about the production. Waka Flocka is known for his partnership with Lex Luger, who's got a very militant, sort of Wagnerian style, with very heavy brass, some strings, some pretty cold synthesizers, and basic 808s. You've probably heard these sort of beats before if you listen to a lot of more modern hip-hop, specifically around 2000, like from this album's release to probably like a little while after Chief Keef blew up. You know the style. I think it's good in small doses. It's just that listening to the entire album, it gets very irritating because so many of the beats are very similar. Like, going through the track list again. Out of the songs on here, ones that actually sound at all different or have any difference in quality, Brick Squad is slightly better. It's got a good intro and then a pretty fun chorus. The Club Up is very annoying. It's got a little snap style organ riff that just doesn't give any energy to the track. Homies is a better beat. Oh, Let's Do It just sounds corny. For My Dogs and This Industry both have more chill beats. So, overall, I found this album pretty bad. Waka Flocka's just not that great a rapper, as you probably knew coming into this. His production and features just don't add anything a whole lot to the album that we can't already see with Waka Flocka. And also a very large issue is the sheer amount of repetition and length. Like the album is 17 songs long, 72 minutes. And I swear at least 15 minutes of that is just like letting the beat ride for a few bars and then bringing back the chorus for another minute on it. Like that has to happen on at least half the songs. And it just gets very annoying. I wouldn't really recommend this. Like, I think if you listen to some of the singles, if you listen to Karma, like, that's all well and good. They're good sort of party songs to amp you up, but as an album experience, Flockaveli just isn't that great. On the list so far, Waka Flocka Flame has displaced the Sugar Hill Gang, and now Waka Flocka Flockaveli is the worst album in our list. This is Caleb Clark at the Burning Disco, signing off.